think we should be good. Being with the family coming back. Try this again tonight. Skies are pretty dark out there. Pretty dark out there. And this storm. Tried to come back about 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, and had some problems with the buffering. So I wanted to come back just in here. Hope everybody doing good out there. If you didn't get a chance to check out my last video, go check that video out. It was a little food for thought. Just to kind of piggyback and reiterate, really, really important, that you love yourself first, okay? Because when you get into, politics of life, you're going to realize that if you don't love yourself first, no one else is going to love you, all right? So, and that's not just physically, but that's mentally, emotionally, psychologically, all right? The last live was only like maybe 26 seconds, 27 seconds before the storm interrupted. And the name of that one was Democrat Strategy. Okay, now I think that's an old, Brandon, are you back in the house? You back in the garden? Because I know I got that, I know you hit me last time. Okay, cool. Yeah, what's up, Ty's World? Did you get his the number, the phone number I left? If not, I'll put it in the description box after the live. Let me just show it again so you can see it. Okay. So that's it right there. What's up, Mo? All right. Yeah, fam, we was gonna, like I said, at last live was Democrat Strategy. Vote for me, everything is free. And I titled that because I watched the debates, and I just thought that was funny. They're just gonna usher Trump back into re-election, huh? Because I don't know how many cats after political or voting or you're Democrats. If so, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about it if you watch those debates those last two nights with those 20 candidates? How do you feel if you're a Democrat or if you're someone that's politically inclined? How do you feel about those Democrats and what they're talking about and the platform? If you're a Democrat, you should be quite concerned. All right. And Afro-melanated people, I really don't understand the dog or the horse in the race. Think about it. But Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and Van Jones and all those cats, they'll tell you differently. But I just think it's really interesting that the cats that are running for president on the Democratic side. And remember, family, I'm not political, I'm geopolitical, meaning I have to make sure that I'm on top of all of the news, whether it's real or fake, because everything is going to determine, your economics, your wealth building, because especially as an investor, and if you want to be wealthy, you want to be financially secure, it's not going to happen just working a job. Now you can save your money, right? But 2%, and remember, that's if you would ally or with the other institutions that we talked about previously about the higher interest rate savings accounts with Ally, Citi, other joints like that, where you get 2%, right? But even that alone is not going to get you rich, because remember, inflation 2%, right? And so in order to build wealth, you got to look into different avenues, which is investing. I promise you, it's not an accident. 20% of America, the top 20% are rich and wealthy because of investing. So it takes a different type of mindset. You did? James, they done cut the race, huh? The game is the game. You did? So what that means, go somewhere else. All right? City still have it. Ben, I have to look into it, but yeah. So Ally just cut it, huh? Okay. Like I said, it's other avenues out there. But like I said, you're not gonna get rich, in a savings account anyway. And remember, James, that's why I say geopolitical news is important. The reason why Ally cut its rates, because remember the Federal Reserve just cut rates, just said they're gonna cut rates. And the US Treasury bonds, the 2-year, 5-year, and 10-year Treasury bonds, all those rates have been cut. So basically what's a good thing to do if you have extra capital, which would be to invest in the bonds. If you have some cash that you're not going to use for 2 years, or if you got cash that you want to sit on for a while that you don't need. Now remember, don't ever put your money in an instrument that's illiquid, meaning that you have access to it right away. CDs, savings bonds. They savings bonds are liquid, but you're going to lose out. So it doesn't do any good to invest in U.S. Treasury bonds if you're not going to keep it in there throughout the duration of the bond, or the note, or the bill. You did? So yeah, it's good looking at James on that information about Ally. Ally cut its rates, but I think they still maybe still 2% if I'm not correct. If I'm not wrong about that. But I check into that. Okay? I check into that. But like I say, wealth is not going to happen by just by saving money. It's going to happen by investing. And so when you invest, then you have to be conscious and cognizant of information around the world, especially geopolitical, because that affects your investments. All right. So staying on top of that, I think that's a great way of living. I mean, why just go to work every day and just get a check and paying bills, and letting the corporations win when you can be the one to put your hat in the race and in the ring and start making some change, by investing. And so with that being said, talking about what the Democrats are saying and what they're offering is basically, trying to tell you everything's supposed to be free. Both of them is going to be free. Healthcare, free tuition in college, and the big one, forgiving the 45 million people who have student loans. Okay, $1.6 trillion to just totally forgive that. Now, what Bernie Sanders didn't say, and that's why I say they lied, they're disingenuous. Why didn't they say in the debate that, well, we're gonna have to raise taxes for that to happen? People would be looking at that differently if they knew that was how we're gonna be paid for. Let's see, George, what you said? Deutsche Bank cut. Yep, Deutsche Bank cutting 20,000 jobs. Wow. Good looking out, Joyce. And on that note, Ford is cutting 20,000 jobs overseas. Okay? So, like I said, family, pay yourself first, right? Don't believe what they're saying about this economy being the greatest economy. Yeah, it's great for them, like the top 1%. But it's not great for those that are, living check to check. Okay? It's disingenuous to say we're living in a great economy when over half of Americans, if they had a $500,000 emergency, couldn't handle it. That ain't a great economy. You dig? Let me see, Brandon. Great point, Brandon. Brandon said, what about those that already paid off their student loan? Okay. Now, should they get some reparations for that? Restitution for that? All right? Because see, what you don't understand is everyone is going to be eligible to have their loan forgiven. Millionaires, anybody who have a student loan. That's not just, middle class people or low income people. Those are millionaires. Those are people who, PhDs, but they make a six-figure millionaire. So their loan get forgiven too. So come on, Bernie, that's just disingenuous. And you remember, to forgive those loans doesn't mean it's going to be free. See, if it was going to be free, then it wouldn't say $1.6 trillion. You did? To let you know that no, that has to be paid. How are they going to pay it? Through middle class tax increases. Now, how many of you cats would agree to that? Right? And then like I say, the ones that, like, man, this is crazy. All right. And so all these years, people have been paying those student loans off. All these years, people have been, having student loans be a detriment, an albatross around their neck. And all of a sudden now, you're gonna forgive it. And those who've never paid it at all, right? And remember, it doesn't matter. At least Elizabeth Warren, who was what they call a fakeahana, she's half Indian. I think that's so funny. But I digress. Even she said we'll put a $20,000-$50,000 cap on it. Where anybody make no $20,000-$50,000, you're gonna get yours forgiven. But nonetheless, ain't nothing forgiven because they trying to. It's jargon. It's politics speak. They say it's free, but it's not free. That's disingenuous. That's taxpayers' money. That's our money. Okay. Now let's get into something else that I think is disingenuous. Like say healthcare. That's not going to be free. Okay. And then all of them want to agree to providing healthcare for illegal immigrants. What? See, now that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me. Because see, if that's the case, then what you're saying is Americans, taxpayers, will have to pay additional monies to accommodate illegal immigrants in healthcare. Now, I don't mean to be insensitive, but we have 3 million people in America right now with no health care. And why didn't any of the people on stage, the Democrats, mention that? If you guys get a chance to watch it, man, y'all got to understand, pay attention to what's going on politically. Okay, don't just go out and vote if you don't know what's going on. And like I said, if you're a Democrat, come on, man, huh? That's disingenuous. You want us to pay for health care for illegal immigrants, but then you want to build a wall to keep illegal immigrants out? See, that's that confusion. That's order through chaos. Have you going all over the place mentally, okay? And then you have to go to work every day. Listen to what I'm saying. Work that job. Don't let that job work you. Because when this kind of stuff is being proposed where they want us to pay higher taxes for illegal immigrants to have health care, but then we have 3 million people in America with no health care. That's disingenuous. All right? We have to pay for that. All right? And then the last thing, family, would be foreign aid. Please pay yourself first because listen to the politics speak. Anytime they say that, we're going to pass a bill to increase spending on this program, that program, that's taxpayers' money. You don't see it because it's coming directly out your check. Okay? And so you have to understand that every time there's something they proposing, it's money coming out your check. But then when you got your tax refund this past year, it was lower by 18%. See, we have to get ourselves financially literate because people should have been in the streets protesting that. My refund is 18% less. You cut it, and then you increase taxes on this end. So you got to understand, foreign aid, United States citizens pay for that. Yeah, Joyce. I mean, and like I said, it's an albatross around your neck. And remember, there's no way they're going to forgive these loans. Because let me ask you this, family. Who gave out the loans? The banks. Okay. Who made it almost impossible for you to go to college by working because the prices are so high and go up every year? Non-profit organizations called universities and colleges. That's why I say Politricks. Come on, man. Why aren't you guys on stage talking about why universities, which are nonprofit organizations, 501c3, receive all those money in tuition and go up every year? And students have to get loans just to go to those schools. So no one mentions that. No one mentions that the banks that are charging interest on these loans like that. You have 21 and 22-year-old kids coming out of college, not working. The government, you should already have something in place where you say, okay, hey, you're not working, bam, 0% interest. Because we know that the price of your college went up every year. and your salary didn't go up. A lot of times you wasn't even working. You was in school. So how you gonna work? And so one year you going to college, you're paying $20,000. The next year you go to college, you're paying $25,000, but you didn't make $5,000 more on your salary. That's not right. That's disingenuous. And so politicians, you should be looking at the elephant in the room. Don't just say we're just going to forgive debt. We're just going to forgive the loan. We're going to give free health care. We're going to give free this. When you know it's not free, when you know taxes, I have to pay that. We have to pay it, and you're not addressing what's really going on. Why are nonprofit organizations, why aren't there any regulations to make sure that these colleges are not, prices are going up, tuition going up like that, and it's going up way more than tuition. It's going up way more than salaries. Come on, man. No politician addressed that. Well, you need free health care. No politician is addressing the fact that insurance companies, okay, are taking advantage of people. The healthcare system isn't the problem. Okay, it's how you got your healthcare system set up logistically. If you have insurance companies that are making you pay premiums every month, but then when you have an illness, are reluctant to pay the bills, and then when you can't pay the bills, they throw it in your credit report, or you can't receive those services. How is that fair? Why isn't the elephant in the room being addressed? It's the insurance companies that have these prices of premium. I'm a teacher. I'm going to put it in perspective. A teacher with your insurance carrier with your school district, if it's just you, you're probably paying what, $26 a month or $26 every 2 weeks on your for insurance. But then if you, that same teacher just paying $26 every 2 weeks for insurance, she gets some kids and just want to add her kid on it. Bam, $300 every 2 weeks, almost $800, $750 a month, just because you add your child. See how that's backwards? Okay, so what? How is that right? And what school districts or what companies are hiring these insurance companies and allowing your employees to be taken advantage of like that? That's not fair. All right. And so let's just disavow this notion of things being free. We know that's an antiquated notion. Nothing's ever free. How it's going to be free if they say it's going to cost $1.6 trillion to forgive the debt? When all the banks have to do is just erase it like an algorithm. Okay? So that's disingenuous on that part, right? There's no free lunch. That's right. Yep. And the last thing, family, with this illegal immigration, how many of you guys knew that Mexico got $87 million last year, right? $87 million went to Mexico last year. 56%. Now, maybe help me out, family, with the comment section if you know what this means. Mexico got $87 million, $660,000. $87,660,000 last year, right? Now, that money went to Mexico. 56% of it went to Mexico went towards peace and security. I don't know what that means. And then the other 44% went towards democracy, human rights, and governance. Huh? See what I'm talking about? So we just sent Mexico, because remember, if it's telling you that in foreign aid, 87,660,000. Got to put my cell phone on silent, family. 87,660,000 of foreign aid went to Mexico last year, just last year. All right. Taxpayers' money, our money, right? Hold on, family. Let me see here. I got some vision I was taking care of earlier. Okay, my little sister. I'll give her a shout back. But 87 million family last year taxpayers' money. Did you know that? Okay, and so that's disingenuous. Why aren't the politicians telling you that? And so when you talk about 3 million Americans not having health care, talk about, you know, 550,000 homeless people in America. 1 out of 5 kids in America are hungry. 815 million people in the world are malnourished around the world, right? And this is with UNICEF and the United Nations and all these these international organizations that's supposed to be serving people or helping people with humanitarian services or resources. But how do you still have over 800 million people undernourished if you have these organizations? So that tells you all this money that's going to these organizations are staying at the top. The top 20% will always remain rich. I want to say, please pay yourself first. Don't just work 20, 30, 40 years waiting on Social Security. For what? When you can actually put yourself in a great situation where, and I'm telling you, if you're young, man, right now you should be thriving to getting yourself a second job so you can open up these IRA accounts so you can start saving your money, start investing your money. Because you don't want to be one that's depending on Social Security. I mean, think about how disingenuous politicians are when they don't even tell you. And this is at a national debate when the world is watching. Not one of these politicians go on stage and say, you know what? The notion of Social Security will be insolvent by 2035 is despicable. And as the president, I'm going to make sure that that's not an issue because everyone pays into Social Security that works. And I know devil's advocates may say, well, what about the many people that don't put into Social Security? Well, I said this. Well, what about the $48 billion a year that or $48 billion last year we sent in foreign aid? Or on an average, over $28 to $30 billion a year go overseas, right? For humanitarian purposes. But you're telling us that for the citizens of America that work for all these corporations, that Social Security may not be there in 15 years? How do you go to work every day and not be concerned about that? Or not tell yourself, how is it possible? Okay? You know why? Because the Tel-lie-vision is not telling you that in a way that you can understand it. They tell you that in a way where it's what they say, to kind of divide and conquer the Democrats versus Republicans. No, it ain't got nothing to do with that. If you know, or if you've been told, and if you're in the family, if you're in the garden, you should know this. We talked about this. Social Security being gone by 2035, and then you look at your check and you send your Social Security tax every check, right? And you find out that, $86 million of your dollars went to Mexico last year. And they talking about Social Security not being there. Okay. I want to go ahead before we get up out of here. I want to say, pay yourself first, family. Before we get out of here, family, I want to let you know exactly where all your money is going. Okay. And it's the top 10 countries. Now, mind you, when I did the research on this and I was checking it out, I was just blown away by the fact that, we still have, I was watching the Tel-lie-vision saying something about the white supremacist group going to be marching in one of the states, and how they have these, all these different groups, these racist groups, right? What I find amazing is that you have to be really totally ignorant to be quote unquote racist toward Afro-melanated people in America, and you're not racist toward Africans. And why do I say that? Because if you knew how much money was going to Africa of your taxpayers' money, you wouldn't be mad at us. I mean, think about how it makes us feel. I mean, here we are, can't even bring up reparations, right? But billions of dollars that we pay in taxpayer money, think about this, goes overseas for other countries. Now, I'm going to go ahead and break it down, and we're going to talk about the countries that receive this money, all right? Uh, Iraq, okay, Iraq, they get $347 million of our taxpayers' money. 347 million, Iraq. Why? To stabilize the region. Okay, stabilize the region. Well, what does that mean? Nigeria, they get $419 million a year. Nigeria, they get $419 million a year to reduce extreme poverty and help out with economics. Okay. Zambia, they get 428 million, almost $429 million. Okay. In order to lower the extremely high rural poverty in Zambia. Okay. Uganda. Now, mind you, family, this is taxpayers' money. All right. Uganda. Now, Step Tart, I hope you're watching because I know you said that you wanted all black people to be destroyed and that we are the reason why America is in this bad situation. Step Tart, I hope you look at your check because I just mentioned Nigeria and Zambia, and I'm finna mention Uganda. Those are all African countries, Step Tart, that your money's going to. So you got in Uganda, that's $436 million that goes to Uganda to establish a sustainable economic development system in Uganda. 436 million, okay? And Tanzania, 535 million, okay? Because 25% of the people in Tanzania live in poverty. So, taxpayers' money, we need to make sure we send them $535 million, all right? Kenya gets $639 million because, you have a corrupted government over there and you got a lot of ethnic feuds and it's a drought and it's drought prone for the farmers. So Kenya, they get $639 million $639 million. Now, I think last I checked, Trump just signed a farm bill in 2018, okay, to help out the farmers here. But farmers here are still hurting. But the farmers in Kenya, they just got a $639 million of our dollars to help them because it's drought prone over there. All right. So let's look at what's that? Nigeria, Zambia, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. All right, that's all in Africa. Okay. We got Afghanistan. Afghanistan, they're getting $782 billion. I hope somebody calculating this so you know how much money that you're spending on other countries. Okay, while we still have 550,000 homeless people in America, and we still have 3 million people with no insurance, right? And we still have 75,000 Afro-melanated women and children missing. But in Afghanistan, we got $782 million going to Afghanistan, to secure the democratic conditions over there. Because the Taliban, the United States still have some military conflicts. So we have to make sure that $782 million go to Afghanistan. You did? Okay. And Jordan, and I'm not talking about Michael Jordan. I'm talking about the country of Jordan. They get $1 billion. They get $1 billion because guess what? They next to Syria. And they may need some humanitarian assistance being right next to Syria. So Jordan gets $1 billion. Like I said, I'm not talking about the shoes. Okay. That's interesting. Egypt, they're getting $1.39 billion. Egypt. Okay. To improve their food security and good governance. I don't know what that means. Okay. Then they're gonna spend $30 million in Egypt to promote health and education. Huh? But we have people starving here in America. Okay. All right, family. And then, like Joy said, number one is Israel. Israel. They got $3.1 billion. All right. Because they needed the $3.1 billion to help build up and to develop the defense programs over there against regional threats. What? Let me see. Afghanistan and Iraq, United States both, just knock them off the box. Syria not gonna do nothing. Who they gonna mess with? Iran, they ain't got no weapons. What countries over there threaten Israel? Why they need $3 billion for defense mechanisms or for defense program development? And see what's really disingenuous? They just got $38 billion from the United States for military aid and assistance. So in actuality, that's really like what, 40 billion, $41 billion to Israel. Hmm. And Lindsey Graham, the one that said he don't want people to, he don't, he thinks that reparations is a joke, and how we gonna calculate reparations? I mean, come on, man, we ain't got, this is Lindsey Graham, one of the tops in the Republican Party, Step Talk, probably one of your peoples. He said that Israel need more money. Okay, he don't think Israel have enough money. Now remember, that $38 billion comes from taxpayers. All these countries I just named, these 10 countries I just named, are like 6, 7 African countries. Those are billions of dollars going to those countries, taxpayers' money. Did you know that? But then we have people in this country starving. But you know what? Bread and circus. Keep watching sports. Keep watching entertainment. Entertainment. You know what that means, right? The Tel-lie-vision and propaganda and sports are used to enter your mentals, entertainment. Entertain your mentality, to have you focus on stuff that's irrelevant. Okay? How many people you think would be upset if they knew all their taxpayers' money was going to other countries for these reasons? When you go right now to San Francisco or California got the most billionaires, right? We got the most homeless people too. How does it work? So it's disingenuous. Pay yourself first. I just named 10 countries. And so, guys, when we get off this live, make sure you go back and rewind it, and so you can check out what's going on, and you can do the math. Jason in the house. The 2 Jacksons, 2300 Jackson Street. All right? So, like I say, fam, that's just a lot of money, And so when you listen to these Democratic candidates, when you listen to all these, even Trump, I mean, the game is the game. I mean, they're not in it for you. That's why I say you got to pay yourself first. Work that job. Don't let that job work you. Stack your chips. Get yourself in a situation. Watch this news, because see, it's not an accident that 20%, the top 20%, have all the money. Oh, not just the money, but the wealth. Because see, invest. When I say investment, I'm not just talking just stocks and bonds. I'm talking real estate. I'm talking assets. Because see, once you know how money works, then you realize that money is not it ain't the money. The money is just the conduit to get to the assets. All right. So I mean, I just thought it was amazing, and like I say, for them to not even entertain the notion of reparations is funny. And I think that with ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, I think it's a cool, I guess it's the thought that counts. But if you're not putting anything with any type of economic substance behind it, then they're not paying you no attention. I mean, they won't even look at the survey. I think, what's the cat's name? He was just at Congress doing the interview. Ta-Nehisi Coates. Him and Danny Glover in from the Congressional Congress talking about reparations, right? And all he basically did was just reiterate all the atrocities that the government and the United States did toward or committed toward Afro-melanated people, as if that means something. Going to Congress and just basically regurgitating all the terrible things that happened. What does that do? I mean, to me, because you have to be psychopathic already to do those things to a people. And if you got away with it and nothing happened to you, you don't think that reiterating or regurgitating is going to make them feel bad or make them feel. It's not gonna make them feel bad. In actuality, they really probably like you to talk about it, because psychopaths like to relive the hurt and pain. They're like narcissists. They want you to feel that. So instead of going there and saying that, mentioning Black Wall Street, mentioning the atrocities that happened, I think you'd have been better off going in there with an economic plan, going there with some economic analysis of how and why this amount of money is owed to Afro-melanated people due to the profits that were gained from the free labor. In fact, I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 with you. Just some basic stuff. The GDP in the United States in 1836 was $300 million or 500 million, and most of that was from cotton. And so, if you understand business, understand economics, you know all that cotton that was produced was basically used and exported out for money, right? That's how they're to build wealth. And so, if you're building that wealth off money from free labor, and then you call it slavery. We didn't call it slavery. You call it slavery. Then if you go all the way back to you go to 1865. In 1865, the GDP was like 5 billion, over $5 billion, right? And that's when you allegedly had freed the slaves, the so-called slaves, right? Well, if you freed the slaves, and Abraham Lincoln put in the Constitution of 13 million or whatever that 40 acres and a mule, all right. But bam, they killed Abraham Lincoln. Okay, bam, Andrew Johnson comes in and he repeals that. Bam, we're not giving them 40 acres and a mule. Okay, so we know that. Okay, hey, okay, you repeal. Okay, cool. But then years later, the subject comes up. Okay, what about reparations? Well, you can't then just say, well, no, there's no way we can calculate that. I mean, it's been too many years. It's been too many years when you still have civil rights. Not civil rights, but Civil War descendants, United States, the Mexican American War descendants, and World War One descendants still receiving pension benefits. How does that work? How you even calculate that? You did? They're not still getting the same amount of money that was in the Civil War or during World War One. They're getting what's comparable to today's economics. So that's easy to calculate, right? And so just on some regular stuff. So the next time people that want to go in front of Congress and talk about reparations and this and that and the third, go with some numbers. Go with a number. Hey, 1865, you free quote unquote slaves. Your GDP, your gross domestic product in 1865 was over $5 billion. All right. So basically, doing the math, in 1865, $1 million is equivalent to now like $14 million, a little over $14 million. Okay. Well, if the GDP was $5 billion back then what's 5 billion times 14 million? Then that's reparations. That's what 7 quadrillion, something like that. There. So it's disingenuous to say, well, there's no way we can do it. I just think when people gonna go and present this information, then come with some information that where they understand it. Because remember, gross domestic product, GDP, is basically the wealth of a country. Okay, in 1865, the GDP was about $5 billion, a little over $5 billion. The GDP now is over 20 trillion. 20 trillion. And you trying to tell me that with Afro-melanated people being one of the top consumers in America, remember, GDP is goods and services produced inside the country, right? Not GNP, because GNP is the gross national product. That's not including, that's a different number. That's when you have Ford and all these different companies that go overseas and build and set up shop overseas and sell their products to people overseas. That, of course, is part of the monies, but that's the gross national product. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about what's in America right now. All the goods and services. So, that's easy math. I mean, if they want to get some real deal Holyfield economics on it, just talk to me. It's easy. I mean, everyone has it. I mean, Native Americans, Japanese, the Japanese Americans from World War II, when they had to be putting those counts in Mexico, California. You have the Native Americans. You have the Jews. Okay, so don't say you can't afford giving reparations. Because to me, when you're giving out 10 countries on an average $500 million to each country every year, that's reparation to them, and they wasn't what? How can we get, and we're paying for it, so there's really a slap in the face. How are we paying for foreign aid, $40 billion every year almost to foreign countries, and we're paying for that, right, through taxes, and we bring up reparations, they're kind of like, hey, I don't want to talk about that. Come on, man. Don't want to say it's a joke. POWs don't get reparations. Yeah, intelligent investor, Jason. Yeah, Jason, no doubt. Uh-huh. I think that's Benjamin Graham, if I'm not mistaken. Matter of fact, hold up. Yeah, it's in my yeah, I have it in my backpack. It's in my classroom. Yes, the intelligent investor. That's by Benjamin Graham. Let's see, Angeline, how you doing? Let's see, what Angeline's? Exactly, Antonio, and yeah, you bet, yeah, right. But they won't let them come up there. Yeah, yeah. Great point, Angeline. Great point. Because I know they got the numbers. I mean, you're gonna send, actors. Come on, man. People on the Tel-lie-vision to talk about reparation when they have not talked about no numbers. Get out of here. No doubt. No doubt. Well, family, like I said, it's been 41 minutes. It's been a blast, family. Thank you for joining me in the garden. Like I said, I just wanted to come back with the money situation, the politics situation, the Tel-lie-vision situation. I mean, and the fact that, family, we spend so much money. Now, actually, they take so much of our money in taxes, paying everyone else, but they don't want to pay us. So that's why we got to pay ourselves first. We got to build this wealth. We got to do this stuff together. We can't be the nation of me's. We got to be a nation of we. And until that happens, you know, people like Yvette and Antonio, they're not gonna have an opportunity. We have to have more people. Look at all these cats out here with all these millions of dollars, but don't want a nation bill. You did? It's not by accident. And all these countries, let me reiterate, family, who wasn't in the house when I read this. All these countries, uh, Nigeria, Iraq, Zambia, Uganda, Tanzania, it was at Tanzania, I'm sorry, Kenya, Afghanistan, Jordan, Egypt, Israel. Come on, man. If we don't pay ourselves first, who's gonna do it? Okay. And the fact that not, you got Cory Booker, you have Kamala Harris, you guys on stage, and then y'all know that the reparations topic is polarizing. I mean, we're not the only one. I'm not the only one talking about it. They saying it on the Tel-lie-vision. And to me, it's kind of a slap in the face when, you know, you got two quote unquote black uh, Democratic presidential candidates, and not one of y'all mention reparations at all. Barack Obama, not you don't even mention it, dude. You know what I'm saying? So don't get caught up in the politics. Get caught up in the geopolitical information. Okay, watch Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance. Get into find out. We got to get financially literate because see, if we don't understand what's really going on with this money and what's really going on with the wealth disparity and the health disparity, what we eating, what we shouldn't be eating, then it's a wipeout. I promise you. They say of what 380,000 so-called African slaves was dropped off in America, and the other 5 million went to South America and the Caribbean islands. Then if only 380,000 was dropped over here, then how you ended up with 3 million by 1860? Who were those people? Because you said it was slaves. So you go from 380,000 in 1619 to by 1840, it's 3 million? How did it work? You know what I'm saying? So there's more information out there. And if you don't know, check out Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway do a great job of doing the research and historical analysis of the Aboriginal people that was here. Remember, I do not discount my African heritage. Don't get it twisted because we come from Africa to over here. It's just a long time ago, and the records don't show that, which could be disingenuous because we know just in 1200s, you know, the Moors ran Spain and Iberian Peninsula, Italy, all that area for 200 years, and then came over here. So, you know, we know there are some discrepancies, and there has to be a reason why a certain group of people that you know and you admit to and apologize for slavery, and not only apologize for slavery, admit that it was wrong, and try and admit that, you know, in your paperwork that you will get reparation, but then you're not going to get reparation. So something's wrong with that picture. So, you know, you only treat POWs like that. Okay? I mean, look at the incarceration rate. Look at every ghetto in America, and look at what happened to the economic development in our neighborhoods. It's not black owned. So that's something, you know, that's not an accident, fam. Don't have cognitive dissonance. You did? All right, family. Sure enjoyed the garden tonight. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to say, go back and check out the last video if you didn't get a chance to check that out. It was called Little Food for Thought. I got into making sure that you love yourself first, family, because if you don't have intrinsic love for yourself, no one else is going to love you. No one can love you the way you love yourself. I mean, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And physically loving yourself meaning putting the things in your body that's healthy for yourself. In the meantime, between time, family, may the Most High inside bring you joy, and being with us out of 5,000. Peace, Joyce, Janet, Jason, Angeline, Ty, and everyone else that was in the garden. I'm out.